Welcome to O-State Danny. Casey Porter here, joined by Chase Whitwiska on a wet, kind of dreary, but a very exciting homecoming 2024 day here. So, Chase, hey, what's going on? How you feeling this morning? How was the walk around? How's homecoming going for you?
Oh, I mean, it's just like every other homecoming. It's the only difference this year is the game makes me nervous. I haven't really been too nervous about homecoming games for a while now. Texas was the last one I can remember being like pumped up for. I wouldn't even say I'm necessarily pumped up for this one. I'm more like.
Was that the Halloween night one?
Yeah, that was a blast.
Yeah,
that was a blast.
OSU lost that game, didn't they?
They won.
No, okay. That was not the Halloween night one then.
It wasn't?
No, Halloween night one, I think we like picked off a couple of passes early but still lost. I could be wrong, though. We keep going.
I don't know. I remember the last one that I was at that Texas was at OSU. We ended up winning that one. And I only remember that because that was that was during the COVID, all the COVID stuff. So all the seats were separated. And I'm pretty sure I had it, but I wasn't going to miss that game. So –
That's hilarious. I think that was the Tom Herman days. Was that the one where Mike Gundy and Herman met at midfield? Yeah, that was a great game.
I believe so.
So tell us, where are you at here, man? I mean, I know we've talked several different times about, hey, the goals for this team aren't intact anymore. But, talking to a lot of these former guys and talking to a lot of people, still every Saturday, man, you want to go out and put your best foot forward.
Yeah, you absolutely do, and I expect him to do that, especially with it being homecoming. Homecoming is a big deal at Oklahoma State, and I think that everybody, not only the fans, but the players realize that. Coach Gundy realizes that. This means almost more than any other game, especially now. I think this is the biggest game that we have for the rest of the season, in my opinion, just because of the atmosphere and all the things going into consideration, the uniform, I mean, all that stuff, which may amplify their game a little bit. I hope it does. I go into every week wanting them to win. I want them to be successful. But I also want them to make good decisions for the future. So that being said, I'm excited for the game. I'm excited to watch it. I hope I'm not as upset or frustrated as I've been the past 5 weeks.
Yeah, right.
So I guess we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm scared of Scadaboo. He's an extremely talented back. Reminds me honestly a lot of what Ollie was last year. Yeah. Just breaking a bunch of tackles. And I was listening to the radio earlier this week, and they were talking about he's averaging over 100 yards after contact per carry. Mm-hmm. That's scary with a team that can't tackle and a team that has struggled on the defensive end.
Wait a minute. Say it again. He's averaging 100 yards
after contact.
You said per carry. What is that? Is that per game?
Per game. I'm sorry.
Per game. Okay.
Per game.
All right.
He's averaging 100 yards per game after contact. That's frightening to me, especially like I said, with a team that has struggled on the defensive end, that struggles to tackle, that has, in my opinion, been one of the most disappointing groups that I've seen in a long time. Yeah. I think there were high expectations.
Not just at OSU.
Yes. There was so much hype around, especially around this defense with, obviously you have to deal with injuries, but you have to deal with injuries every year. It's football, guys, it's like high contact sport, guys are going to get hurt. It's been unfortunate that we've lost two of our best players.
Rucker's back, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and two of them are arguably two of the best in the country, in my opinion.
I don't think that's even arguably. I think Nick Martin and Colin Oliver, I don't think you could argue there. Now, if you want to say the best, yeah, but one of the best, I don't think you can argue that.
No, that's fair. There's a lot of good players in college football right now, but I would say those are two of the best, not the best, but two of the best.
Yes, right.
Players in the country, and that's unfortunate. But at the same time, I think that if you recruit how you're supposed to recruit, and things like that. You have guys to back them up, and it sure, is it going to be a drop off? Yes, but it shouldn't be a significant drop off. It shouldn't be like you can tell 100,000% that Colin Oliver and Nick Martin aren't playing today. You should be able to tell maybe a little bit, but not like 300 yards a game difference. And that's what it seemed. That's what it seemed up to this point. I'm holding out hope that Colin Oliver gets granted maybe a medical hardship and he's able to come back. I don't know what's going to happen.
Because he's not a surefire NFL guy. He's kind of that tweener size thing. Right.
And with him being hurt this season, that doesn't really help in terms of the draft.
Correct.
Good point. I think my two hopes are that one, he gets, I don't know if he has another year left. I don't think he does. He may, I'm not sure. But if he doesn't get that medical hardship, he comes back for one more year. I hope he stays, and we're in an era of college football now to where, there's always bigger, better opportunities. And that's just part of the game now.
Colin Oliver can redshirt. That's what Wes is saying. Yeah, because he didn't play the 4 games.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, right.
Well, so that's great. Hopefully he stays at Oklahoma State. I think he would, knowing kind of who he spent his entire career here. I don't know why he would go somewhere else, but at the same time, I would understand. I really would. A team that's struggling really, really bad defensively. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I don't hold my breath with anybody on the roster. From 1 to 125.
And that's not necessarily even an indictment of what's going on or the coaches. That's just the day and environment of college football. It just is what it is. Right.
And here's the thing is I can be upset about it and all that. I don't hold it against the kid. I really don't. It's a different era. It's a different time in college football. It's a different time in college athletics. I don't necessarily even hold it against the kid, because if there is better opportunity financially, you don't know what that's going to do for the kid's family. There's so much stuff that goes into that. Would I be upset if those guys left? Yes, but I'm not going to be like, oh, I hate you. I can't stand it.
But I'll say this: you grew up, and we'll put this out there. You grew up an OU fan, right?
I did.
Okay. You're so glad that you came to Oklahoma State, correct?
Yeah.
So what these kids are missing, just go back to all the posts, and that's one of the big reasons why I put these posts out on social media when I did. Go back and listen to Alonzo Mays, who came back his senior year in 97. He would have a first-round draft pick after the 96 season, after his junior year. First or second round, maybe third round, but I think it was consensus first or second round for Alonzo Mays. He instead chose to come back to Oklahoma State because he loved his buddies. Yeah. He loved his team. He felt like 97 could be special. And it was. Oklahoma State started off 6-0. They are number 12 in the country. It's the first time we've been any good since probation. And listen to him talk about how much pride he took in that team, right?
Yeah.
And then also listen to him talk about he tears his shoulder up, and because of that, he never really has the NFL career that he could have had, but yet again, he doesn't regret coming back to Oklahoma State because of the respect that he gathered and the alma mater that he can have pride in. Listen to Stacey Satterwhite talk, who could have went anywhere in the country. So Stacey Satterwhite comes in 1988. We have the great year in 88, and then they find out about probation. And he's one of the best defensive linemen in the United States of America. And he could have went to OU. He could have went to Notre Dame. He could have went to Michigan. He could have went anywhere he wanted. But he stayed at Oklahoma State because he made a commitment. And his reward, Chase, was 0-10-1 his senior season. Okay? That was his reward, which to kids nowadays would be like, well, that sucks. Well, but to Stacy, the life he's lived since then, with the respect that he's gathered from Oklahoma State fans and alumni, his alma mater is worth any kind of winning he could have done somewhere else on a transactional basis. Does that make sense to you? So, yes, I understand that these kids, maybe they look at this as greener pastures, and there's a certain dollar figure that maybe is a greener pasture. But what they're losing is that sense of alma mater that Melvin Gilliam and Mark Moore and R.W. McQuarters and all these great players, when they and Terry Miller, who I'm going to release his interview here in this next week, they're missing out on having the rest of their lives coming back to a place like Oklahoma State, where they still, when they are in, like Alonzo May said, this is their sanctuary. When they're in this Oklahoma State sanctuary, they're still heroes. They're missing out on that for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. I understand. I get it. To me, I mean, and I didn't play in college too long ago. You know,
Right.
but times have changed even from when I played. You know, five, 6, God, now I'm feeling old. 5, 6, 7 years ago, you know, times have changed, you know, and I would have had that sense of pride when I played, at, you know, this is my school. This is my place. This is where I want to make an impact. I don't necessarily know if that's where college athletics is at now. You know, the alma mater, the all that stuff, it just doesn't mean as much as it used to, and it
does,
sucks. It does, and he's one that I appreciate the heck out of him.
Got to.
I respect the heck
It
out
does
of him.
to Brennan Presley.
Yes,
Those two will be able to come back to OSU. This will be a sanctuary for them for the rest of their lives, and they will be heroes every time they walk on the campus.
I 100% agree, and that's never going to change. Those are two of my favorite players, and
Of course.
like I said, I grew up an OU fan. I still kept up with Oklahoma State and every other state school. You know, so I grew up watching them play, and I loved Des Bryant. I loved Brandon Whedon.
Yeah.
I loved those guys. Even as an OU fan, I hated playing against them, but I respected the heck out of them, especially when Des and even Brandon Whedon, I think, was at some point with Dallas, the Cowboys. I could be wrong on that, but I know Des was for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan, so I love Des. But, you know, out of even not growing up being a fan of theirs in college, I can honestly say to you that Ollie Gordon and Brennan Presley are going to be two of my favorite all-time Oklahoma State players. And that's because of the era that we're in. They have still showed loyalty. They still showed that they love the university. They still love Oklahoma State. One thing that, you know, people were interviewing Ollie after practice one day, and they're like, man, why haven't you given up? And he said, I'm not going to give up. That's not how I was. That's not how I am. That's not how I was raised. I'm going to finish what I started. I respect the heck out of that.
And part of that's because he loves OSU. He doesn't want to do that to me and you.
Right.
I mean, are you following what I'm saying? The alumni.
And that's special. I mean, that's
special.
really
It
special.
is.
Especially in where we're at with I got OU. I'm sorry, guys. I got older and wiser.
You got smart. You got smart. Became an OSU fan.
I got older and wiser. Don't hate me now, man. I'm wearing orange every weekend. I promise you.
That's awesome.
I'm getting ragged on over here in the comments.
That's hilarious. Of course, man. You grew up an OU fan. You didn't get ragged on. You got that coming, right?
Hey, but now I'm against my entire family. You know, my entire family except for my wife.
That makes it even better because you actually chose to be an OSU. Like, I didn't have a choice. I grew up in Stillwater. I don't even remember becoming an OSU fan. It just happened. You know, I never had a choice.
Yeah,
you're smarter than me. You had a choice.
You know, and I'll give you the backstory on this. It's just real short. When I was in high school, I went on visits to OU and OSU. Baseball was my thing, and I got to meet both staffs, and I got to interact with both staffs and stuff like that. And I can honestly say, even being an OU fan, I went to OU and I was fired up, man. I was ready to go and meet those guys. And first of all, Norman doesn't fit me. It's too fast for me. It's too big. I like the small town, kind of slow. That just fits me better. Yeah. You know, so I wasn't a huge fan of Norman. And then I met just with Josh Holliday and Rob Walton. Those guys were already there.
They're amazing.
The interaction that I had with those guys, and then I wasn't anything special, you know, like I wasn't high up on their list or anything like that, but they still invested in me and stuff like that. And I never really forgot that, you
Yeah.
know? So, and then at OU, I kind of felt a sense of arrogance and a sense of I've been there, done that, like, kind of deal. And it wasn't with Skip. I like Skip. I really do. It was with one of the assistants, which I don't even know where he's at now. So it doesn't
And
matter.
just kind of the whole culture and environment. Yeah.
Yeah. Oklahoma State
OU's
just
more
fit,
transactional than OSU.
Oklahoma State fit me better at the end of the day. And I fell in love with the campus. I fell in love with Stillwater. You know, there were a lot of good things that pushed me towards Oklahoma State. So, yes, I ultimately did get to choose which fan that I was. Yeah. And then I ended up going to Oklahoma State. So it's I made the right choice, in my opinion. So
yeah, I agree. Okay. So that's kind of some of our homecoming talk about I hear a lot, and we've said it ourselves. When I say I hear a lot, I need to include when I say these things, I'm usually meaning myself at the top of all of this. Don't think I feel like I'm sitting like on top of an ivory tower or anything. That's not what I mean when I make statements like this. But we've even said, and I keep hearing Oklahoma State doesn't have anything to play for. Okay, and I just can't agree with that whatsoever. Just because, I mean, I can't tell you as an Oklahoma State fan like how fired up I am this week, like just to go win a football game. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I'm invested in watching Oklahoma State just win a football game and listening to Scott Tyner, who was a great punter in 1992-93, actually kicked in the NFL. There was a time of his life in about 1994 where he could kick a ball further than anybody in the world, which is kind of a neat thing to think of. Scott is back in around his Edgewood area, which is a little bit east of the DFW. He has built 2 or 3 different programs into powerhouses. He's in the Trinity Valley Hall of Fame, and so he's been around football forever. He's a stud, okay? And one of the things that he always talks about is just, you know, hey, it's never as bad as it seems. It's never like last year never was as good as it seemed like because we got very fortunate. That's what he mentioned. But then what really struck me about what he said was this year's not as bad as it seems. It never is. So what you got to do is you just got to keep showing up on Saturdays, and like Stacy Satterwhite Day says, keep posting days. Just post one day after the other, and get this thing turned so you can then build to what next year might be.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's 1,000% right. There's still a sense of pride. I mean, as a former college athlete, there's still a sense of pride in winning a game. Yes. It doesn't matter if you're 0-15
Absolutely.
or if you're 10-0. It doesn't matter.
I'm there as a fan.
You know, it doesn't matter. Our chances of making college football playoff out? Yes. Are our chances of making Big 12 championship out? Yes. But there's still a sense of pride in the jersey that you wear.
Yes.
You know, and it's not just about the last name that's on the jersey, but if you really truly care and are deeply invested in your team, you want to do well for the guys around you. You want to do well for the fans. You want to do well for your family. There are so much more people that are affected than just the players or just Coach Gundy.
100%.
You know, there's so many more people that are affected, and people don't really think about that. You know, when people are saying, "Oh, they should just give up," then you're not. In my opinion, I don't want to offend anybody. First of all, you're a bad fan.
Oh, you don't care.
Well, I was trying to be nice today. I don't care if I offend you. If I do, then don't listen. I mean, honestly, that might sound bad. I mean, if you don't like what I have to say, then just to log off. I don't care. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But
no, don't. I'm the owner of O State Daily. Don't do that. Stay on here and argue. That's a lot better.
I'm going to get fired now. Dadgummit. No.
That's hilarious.
No, in my opinion, honestly, you're a bad fan if you think they should just give up. If you think that there's no sense of pride in still winning a football game, winning a baseball, basketball, wrestling, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Soccer, I don't care. Win. You know, there is a sense of pride in winning. Yes. It doesn't matter what's happened. And we'll talk about the past 5 weeks because it's been bad. But,
it has been terrible, yes.
I mean, and and I don't want to live in the past, but at the same time, you can't change anything about it. Right now
you got to fix it. You got to fix it.
Yeah.
You got to make us feel better about it.
We're sitting here on a Saturday waiting for kickoff. That's not changing. And then next Saturday, we'll do the exact same thing. We'll sit there and wait for a kickoff and watch, hopefully, Oklahoma State play a better football game and hopefully come out with a chance to win. I'm still not going to not watch the game. I'm still going to not pay attention. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I sat at every game in 1991, every single one of them. I watched every. Now, they weren't on TV, the road games, but the ones that I could watch with my own eyes, I did not miss 1 second, ever.
I mean, and you're a real fan. You're a real fan. If you're a real fan of a team, me, Oklahoma State, the Dallas Cowboys, I don't miss a football game.
As in not bandwagon.
Right. If I was a bandwagon, I'd be a Kansas City Chiefs fan. And I'm not ragging on those guys either, but they're phenomenal. But
and you'd have bought your shirt at Walmart right next to the OU rack, right?
Exactly. Dude, you're gonna get me in trouble. You gotta stop.
Hey, OU can kiss my ass forever, ever.
It is what it is. Like I said, I grew up. I got smarter. I made the decision. In my opinion, I'm a great fan because I chose to be this kind of fan. 100%. And I wasn't raised in it, and I was actually frowned upon for it because my family is huge. University of Oklahoma.
I'm sorry.
It is what it is. Like I said,
they'll feel better after they beat the Maine Black Bears today. Good for them.
There's a reason I'm successful. I make good decisions.
One of them was to come over to the good side, right? Oklahoma State. Hey, let's dive into this defense, Chase. It has been absolutely brutal. We'll get into some of the personnel of Arizona State as we move on here. This is a very winnable game. Trust me. This is if Oklahoma State comes out and plays as good as they can, if they just play good football today, Oklahoma State will win this game. I'm just telling you. Yeah. This is a game Oklahoma State should win if they play well. Now, weather elements could change all that. You got Cam Scattaboo. You've got a really good rushing attack. You got a rushing quarterback in Sam Levitt for Arizona State. So I do think rain, any kind of inclement weather favors Arizona State. But sometimes rain can help the passing team too because the receivers know where they're going. The defenders don't. So it's easier for them to get open and stay open, that kind of thing. But let's get to this Oklahoma State defense. And I was talking to, I'm going to leave the names out, okay? But I'll just say this. I was talking to someone who would absolutely 1,000% know defense better than anybody I've ever met, okay? And they kind of validated what we've been saying all year, is that you're playing a 40 front, but you're doing it with 30-man principles. And I've been saying this all year, and what I mean by that is if you watch our down techs, our front four linemen, they're not getting off of blocks and shedding blocks and making plays. Okay, they're holding up blocks so linebackers can roam free, safeties can roam free. But then we don't have Nick Martin, and we only have two linebackers in the play instead of three. Like an odd man stack would have three linebackers, right? Okay, so it's for an odd stack 3-man front to work. Your defensive linemen, they hold up the blocks, right? And then they try to hold up all the offensive linemen because you have three linebackers behind that are running to the ball. Are you following me here? Hope I'm explaining this properly.
No, you're making sense.
Well, in a 40 front, you only have two linebackers. So if your defensive linemen are doing just holding up blocks, you now only have two linebackers instead of three to run to the ball, and it leaves you with a lot less margin for error, especially when you lose Nick Martin. This is what I've been saying all year. Oklahoma State, from a schematical perspective, has been trying to fit a square peg into a round hole with this 40 front, and it just has not worked whatsoever.
No, it hasn't, and a lot of that comes with what you were talking about. The defensive linemen are being too unselfish, in my opinion.
That's what I think that's what they're being told to do because they're being told to play 30-man principles. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm trying to put myself.
I'm in Oates, for instance. I'm in Oates. If you told him to get off your block and go, that guy's a dude, man. I'm in Oates is a dude. I'm just telling you. Yeah.
No, I mean, as a player, I'm trying to put myself in their shoes so I can kind of speak from that perspective. It would be hard for me to try to not make a play. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to spill stuff to the linebackers, but I'm also going to, I'm also going to try to make a play, because I can get to a running back or a quarterback faster than a linebacker can, meaning that I'm going to probably get them for a 1 or a 2 yard gain, maybe even a loss, or I'm going to spill it to my linebacker and they're going to get 4, 5, or 6. Right. There's a big difference, and it's hard. It would be hard for me to sit back and just constantly spill stuff, and then maybe if I'm lucky, have somebody run into my chest. To me, that's what it sounds like you're explaining, and I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, correct me. But that's what it seems like to me. And
eat up blocks. Your job's not to make tackles. Your job is to eat up blocks and keep the linebackers clean. Right,
which I halfway agree with, and I halfway don't. You can still eat up blocks and cause havoc and still plug a hole. I don't feel like they're plugging holes. What I feel like they're doing is, and I don't mean what it looks like to me is they're like the dummies that you stand up and hold.
Yeah, right.
And it's just like, the offensive line is like, oh, hey man, we're just gonna run this scheme. We're just gonna open up this gap, and the D line is like, okay, you do what you want with me as long as you're blocking me. I don't care. That's my opinion on it. They've got to be more aggressive. They've got to use. They've got to use.
I think that's a coaching issue, not a player personnel or mentality issue. I think that's squarely a schematical issue. I'm going on record and saying that.
And who do you think that is?
I think that is a combination of both Mike Gundy and Brian Nardo. I think Mike Gundy favors the 40 front. Okay, and I think that is Mike Gundy not understanding that the principles of a 30 front are totally different than the principles of a 40 front because Mike Gundy's an offensive guy. Yeah. I don't think he's quite understanding that in a 40 front, if all you ask your defensive lineman to do is to take up blocks and you only have 2 linebackers and now you don't have Nick Martin, now you're playing with an injured Justin Wright and a Jeff Robertson that was never meant to be the dude at linebacker, then you're not asking your players to do what they are capable of doing at that moment.
Right. And I'm going to get frustrated. I know we've had a lot of fun, but I'm going to get fired up for a second.
Sure.
My frustration comes from this. When you think Oklahoma State and when you think Oklahoma State football and when you think about those things, it is a blue collar, hardworking.
Yes.
Just freaking get after you. I haven't seen that this year. I haven't. I've seen a more laid back, laxed, non-aggressive, they don't look very fast to me. They don't look very confident. There's a lot of things that they've looked like in the past that they haven't looked like this year. And it kind of frustrates me to when you strap on your helmet, and I'm not saying it's solely on the players. This lies on the coaches too, because the coaches have to set a principle. The coaches have to set a standard, and maybe they're saying it and they're preaching it or whatever you want to call it. Put it into action. Yeah. If they're not giving you 100%, if they're not playing aggressive enough for you, then take their butt out. That's my opinion, because somebody, if I'm a guy that's waiting for an opportunity, and I get this is the softest team I've ever seen. I can rally behind that, and a lot of that also, and I don't want to bring
soft is not a good word in football.
I don't want to bring the offense into it, but a lot of that's on your quarterback. There is a firm leadership role. The quarterback is the leader of the entire team, not just the offense.
The tone setter, yes.
Right. And when you have a quarterback that's not willing to take a hit, that's not willing to be aggressive, that's not willing to
play moving forward. He's playing moving backwards.
Yes, and you cannot play football like that.
Right.
Understood. You can't. I was taught from the age that I was 6 years old that if you don't take it to them, they're going to take it to you, and it's going to suck a lot worse.
I was always taught the player that gets hurt, like my dad always told me, hey, when you're not trying your hardest, that's actually when you get hurt.
Yeah.
Because the other guy's moving faster than you are at that moment, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I haven't seen the aggressiveness. I haven't seen the confidence. I haven't seen the things that I've seen in the past with Oklahoma State football. I haven't seen the guys that just want to freaking get after you. You know, I haven't seen the guys that are
like even out of Trey Rucker. I mean, it's something's not the same. You know what I mean?
They don't rally to the football.
No, they don't.
They don't. They don't pursue very well. And these are drills that we did in high school that I'm just putting into perspective. I played college baseball.
And they don't always give full effort. That can piss whoever off that you want to get pissed off about. Sorry.
Yeah, I was always taught, and again, I didn't play college football. I played college baseball, and so you can say that I'm soft and whatever you want. But I can tell you that when I was in football, I was always taught there are 11 hats on whoever has the football. I haven't seen 6 hats on whoever has the football this year. Right. Not once. And it sucks. That sucks. You've got
Mike Gundy addressed that. I think we're going to see a more swarming team today because he addressed that publicly in his press conference.
He said Ollie's the hardest hitter on the team. Again, yeah. I would honestly agree with that. And I know
Rodney
you have
Fields.
I know.
He'll bring him low.
I know you have your own opinions and stuff about how he's running this year. I still think he's running good. I really do, because what I see is he's getting hit 1.5 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
You're not wrong.
He's still able to pull out 2-3 yards. Yeah. That's impressive to me.
I don't think he's running as good as Ollie can run, though. That's all I'm saying. I think there's a better version of Ollie out there.
I understand, but I also think there's a better version of the offensive line
no doubt.
Out there that's
absolutely.
and it's not.
We saw it at BYU.
It's not helping him, and I don't think it's an effort deal solely because of what he has said. He's like, man, I care. I want to be good for this school. I want to be good for this program, and I'm going to be here until the last snap. And like I said, I appreciate the heck out of that. If you have a team full of Ollie Gordon's mentality and a team full of Ollie Gordon aggressiveness, I think that you're sitting at, what are they, 4-5 right now? I think you're sitting at an 8-1 maybe. I think it's a mentality. I think it is an aggressive, I'm going to get you before you get me. I haven't seen that one time from the defense this year. Trey Rucker has been phenomenal. He's been great. He really has. He has played good football. But
definitely
other guys,
in the run game part of things. He can get lost in the pass game every now and then, but other
guys have to step up. It can't be solely, hey, number 9 is our defense. And after all,
I think our defensive line needs to get off their blocks. We need to go to if we're going to run a 40 front, then let your defensive lineman play like it's a 40 front, because you only have 2 linebackers behind that. You're in man coverage behind it. Then let your defensive lineman, let Iman Oates eat, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Don't hold your players back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think what they're doing is holding their players back.
I'm on record saying that with this 40 front. I'm sorry. I very well could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not.
Here's what I think you need in a defensive coordinator. And I'm going to use OU as an example. Chat, don't come at me, please. I'm going to use OU as an example because like I said, my family's still OU fans. I still watch OU games. I'm not going to sit here and
kiss my ass forever. Okay, here, go
I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I don't. But if you look at a Brent Venables defense, Brent Venables is when he was a defensive coordinator at OU. I was a fan then, and I watched a lot of OU football. That dude would get freaking after you. Yeah. And he set the tone for his entire defense. I know Nardo's not on the field, but what is Nardo doing during practice? Why isn't he? And I don't know.
That's not his fault. I'll take that part away. That's Mike Gundy's practices, not his. The soft practices are Mike Gundy's fault, not his.
They're Gundy's practices.
I think his practices are very technical. I just don't think they're very physical, and I think that's because that's the way the head coach has set it up.
I think you've seen a less physical. Maybe I'm not a practice.
I think that's Gundy's fault. So, if you watch our defense, they're always in the right spot. That's the technical part of it. We're never in the wrong spot for a run fit. But then we don't finish because we're not physical. So I think in practice what they do is they thud, And so they get the defense to the right spot, and then they blow the whistle like, okay, good, you got in the right spot. But then they don't force them to tackle because they can't, because they're not very deep. And so then they don't finish the play in the game. And that is an overall structural issue with the way the practices are set up, and not a coordination issue from a defensive guy.
And I'm going to come back with this. Two things. First off, do you think some of that is because of injuries? I do. I personally do.
It's because of piss poor recruiting.
Okay. Well,
we've been recruiting like absolute hot garbage for, 20 years under Mike Gundy for no reason.
Yes.
We're in the 40s and 50s and 60s in recruiting.
What I'm comparing this year to is what I think Oklahoma State football should be. What I think Oklahoma State football should be, and I've seen it, is those groups with Malcolm Rodriguez, those groups with those guys like that are aggressive in go after guys. I haven't seen that, and I don't know. I don't know if it's because of injuries that they're backing off.
Absolutely, it is. That is no question about it. It's because they don't have depth because they recruit like crap.
I get it.
Malcolm Rodriguez is the perfect case scenario. Oklahoma State finds every once in a while a nice diamond in the rough. They found Nick Martin. Okay, yeah. Nick Martin's the same difference, but Nick Martin's hurt right now. But Malcolm Rodriguez was not Malcolm Rodriguez until 2021.
Yeah, no, I agree. And
OSU's defense has been absolute crap every year under Mike Gundy, except for 2021. 2011 was a opportunistic defense because our offense was so good. Other teams' offenses were having to take so many chances that they made mistakes, and so our defense took advantage of those mistakes. But the bottom line is, until Oklahoma State starts recruiting as to match the results on the field, you're always going to have depth issues, and you're always, once you lose one or two or three of your main guys, this is what's going to happen to you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm like I said, I'm just using Malcolm Rodriguez this year as an example. That's what Oklahoma State football is, and it should be.
Needs to be, yeah.
It's guys that are aggressive and go after you. And
or last year.
Yeah, and
we gave up big plays last year, but we were kind of like an anaconda snake as the game went on. We just suffocated our opponents, and a part of that was because of the defense.
Yeah, but a part of it was because we had an offense as well.
Yes,
100%. we don't have an offense this year.
And a run game, yeah.
Yeah, and again, this goes back to offensive scheme, and it goes back to stuff like that's just not very good. And I'm going to play devil's advocate for the defense.
Inconsistent.
And I don't like our defense. I really don't. Yeah. But in their defense, it is hard to play 60 snaps. It's really freaking hard. And they're playing it feels like they're playing 60 snaps in the first half is what it feels like.
Or that's their fault, so they don't get off the field.
Exactly. But at the same time, you've got to – football is a team. It's a team thing. Everything comes together. Everything works together. So if you have a defense that's playing well, and then you have an offense that sucks, eventually your defense is going to get gassed. Now, our defense has been bad from the get-go, from the start of the first snap of the football game all year long.
Yes.
But as the game goes on, they progress. They get worse. And they do get gassed.
And as the year goes on.
Yes. Yeah. And college athletics in itself, again, I didn't play football, but college baseball, it takes a toll on your body. I couldn't imagine what football does to your body at this level. So it is really hard to maintain a healthy, not tired atmosphere. It's hard to retain.
Go watch the 1991 clips with Stacy Satterwhite and Mike Clark and Jason Gilden and all those guys. And they hadn't won a game. They tied Iowa State. They shouldn't have. They beat Iowa State in every which way on the field that day in 1991. And just somehow, because the R of the program, they ended up tying the game instead of winning. But go watch clips of the 1991 team when they had not won a game, And I'm telling you, if you didn't know that team hadn't won a game, even in the last week of the season, you would think they were undefeated the way they played. I mean, they rallied to the ball. They were excited. They played for each other. Every time they made a nice play, they celebrated. They celebrated each other's nice plays. I'm just telling you, if you watched that team and didn't know they were 0-10-1, in week 11, you would have thought they were undefeated. Yeah. That's what I need to see out of this team.
100%, because, at this point in the season with the record that they hold and stuff like that, you don't have anything to lose. You have nothing to lose. So why not every Saturday that you go out there, just put your body on the line, not only for your team, but the fans, but the coaches. There's again,
you got my respect to lose. Not that myself matters, but the OSU alumni for the rest of your life. If you want this to be your sanctuary where you're a hero, you can damn sure lose that if you want to quit on this team.
Yeah, and this team right now has lost my respect. I'm going to be completely upfront with you.
There's a lot of players on this team that have lost my respect. Individual players.
They still have
a chance.
They have a chance to earn that back.
They do.
They do.
They absolutely do.
So take 100%. That.
That's what you have to gain.
Exactly. You have that to gain, and you have nothing to lose. That's my whole point.
Because you've already lost it. You're already there yet.
Right. So for the rest of the season, why don't you put on not only to win the game, but put on to earn your respect back. And that goes for, I'm sure, every fan, even people that aren't fans that watch college football, that watch Oklahoma State football games, earn their respect back. God, they've lost 5 games, but they're playing freaking hard. I can live with a team that loses 5, 6, 7 games that plays their heart out every Saturday.
Well, Chase, I lived with a team that lost 10 games. Didn't win a game. And when I talk to these guys, they're still my heroes.
Yeah.
They played Oklahoma State. They played for the brand. And I remember leaving every game in 1991, still proud to be in it. Now, pissed off, upset, sad that we sucked, but proud of every single player that played on that team.
Yeah,
and I'm still that way.
Well, 100%, and that's because they played hard.
They did.
They played hard. They played for Oklahoma State. They didn't play for what's on the back. They didn't play for Wetwisco. They didn't play for Porter. They played for Oklahoma State.
100%.
And there, you have to have a sense of pride in that. Even if it's just for the remainder of this year. If you hit the portal, again, I'm not upset. I understand it sucks to lose you. I'm sorry to see you go. But at the same time, I'm still going to have respect for you if you played your heart out from snap 1 to snap 150 every single game. I can respect it. I can rally behind it. I can appreciate it. What I can't appreciate is the lack of aggressiveness. I can't appreciate the lack of physicality. How
about the lack of give a shit? How about that?
Yeah, well,
I'm going to put that one straight out there. You can tippy toe. I'm not. Some of these guys don't give a shit, or at least that's how they're showing it. That's how their actions are showing.
Yeah, and if I were to see this as a player, that would hit a chord with me. That would strike a chord with me.
Are you kidding me? I can tell you right now, it's hitting a major chord with ex-players.
Yeah,
it's hitting big time. I mean, it's hitting arteries with ex-players. Trust me.
It sucks. It absolutely sucks, man.
It boils your blood, man. I'm telling you, these guys can watch us lose. They've seen that. A lot of these guys did lose when they were at OSU, okay? That's not the problem. They don't care. I mean, they want to win, don't get me wrong. But that's not the problem. They can't stand watching us tackle, though. These ex-players can't stand to watch the effort that's being given. These guys that these ex-players, they didn't have the training tables in the indoor facilities, in all the recruiting advantages, in all the $400,000 salary. They didn't have that shit, okay?
Right.
And they still played for Oklahoma State. So first of all, they're not about hearing your little pity story about, how life is hard and, people are on me. Who gives a shit? I don't, okay? Wah. You make 4 times as much money playing college football than anybody in the stands makes trying to support your ass playing here, right? So you're not under adversity. You're living a life of privilege, okay? One that you need to take care of, okay? So I don't need to go see you win, But I need to see you go represent Oklahoma State like me as a 51-year fan expects Oklahoma State players to play. That's all I ask about you. And I can tell you that it is boiling the blood of these past players that didn't have the privileges that the guys have right now, but still went out and represented that brand. I can tell you that right now. I'm getting very fired up here, but to be honest with you, I really don't care.
I love it. You know, sometimes I do sometimes I do this intentionally to maybe get you going a little bit because I enjoy it.
Hard.
I think
when
it's
it comes
fun.
to OSU, it's not hard. I have no discipline. I fly off the handle.
You know, I think it's fun. You know, and it's also fun for people to watch. But I like I said, I can always rally behind a team and a group that gives me 100% every time. Am I going to be upset if we lose? Absolutely. But if we lose, when we lost to BYU, I'll use that game as a prime example.
Perfect.
I felt great about that game, even though we lost. I felt like those guys played hard. I felt like they went into
You were proud of the effort.
Yes, they went into a tough environment. I was not as upset with the loss to BYU as I was to West Virginia. As I was, I wasn't as upset,
Well, you're not upset with Brennan Presley right now, are you?
I'll never be upset. I'll never be upset with.
That's exactly right. You're not upset with Ollie Gordon. I mean, right?
It's exactly. But I don't want to be upset. I don't want to be upset with everybody but those two guys.
Sure.
I don't want to be. I want to be confident and feel okay that we lost. Okay, it's a game. At the end of the game, the whistle blows, and one team has more points than the other. That team wins. I can deal with all of that stuff. What I can't deal with is guys outside of Brennan Presley and Ollie Gordon that are just like, dude, do you care? Like, yeah. That's when I struggle to watch on a Saturday. That's when I start to get very irritated. That's when I start to get really upset, is when I am like, dude, it doesn't even look like you care. Like, have a sense of pride, have a sense of urgency, have a sense of, I'm playing for something much larger than even just right now. You're playing for past players. You're playing for your head coach. You're playing for the people that have paid a whole bunch of money to come and watch you at Boone Pickens Stadium.
Make money.
Yeah. And then you also are playing for the people that spend money on subscriptions to watch you play your football games.
Well, and you're also playing for the people who have funded your NIL money.
Exactly.
Which is more money than I'm making as an adult, which that's my fault. That's not what I'm saying. Hey, I want everybody to make as much money as they can. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah. But that is a privilege. I mean,
what I'm saying is you should not take that for granted. When somebody pays me to do a service, and in their case, their service is playing hard-nosed Oklahoma State football.
Make me proud.
That is their service. When people pay me to do a service, I take that personally because you've trusted me, you've invested in me, you've given me the resources to go out and perform at my highest level. Am I going to win? I chose
you, yes.
Exactly. Am I going to win every single game that I coach? Am I going to win every single game that I manage? Are all of my summer programs going to go undefeated? No, they're not. But what I can tell you is when I step foot on a field as a coach, or when I was step foot on the field as a player, and I had those privileges and I understood those privileges, I took that personally because it takes a lot of people to give you this opportunity, not only financially, but people invest in you. Not only I'm talking fans, I'm talking coaches, which granted those coaches make a whole lot of money. Again, I don't coach at a big, like a huge university. I don't make a ton of money, but I'm still paid to do a service. So I'm going to give you everything that I've got. Is what I'm saying. And I know that was a long, I kind of rambled a little bit, but you're paying me to do a service. And if you're paying me to do a service, and whether that's paying for my school or pocketing cash into my bank account, you're paying me to do something for you. I take it personally. Sure. I don't take it for granted. And maybe that's part of the way that I was raised. That's part of the
and you take the criticism personally. If I come back and go, Chase, I paid you for this. This sucks. What happened? Yeah, you take that personally too. Hey, sorry, I'll fix that.
That upsets me. You know, right. that
That's
upsets me.
That's a pretty blunt way to put it. That's not how it would get put to you, but
well, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you're in the coaching world too, so you understand it. But I take
never
all of
listen
that.
to anything until you hear the word "but." The only thing that matters is what's said after the word "but." Yeah. Hey, Chase, man, I think you do a great job with this and that and this and that, right?
Yeah, you do a great job, but your product sucks. And I'm like, crap.
Okay, you said but, so I'm starting to listen now. What do you got to say?
See, that's where the truth comes out after the but.
After the but, that's where the truth goes. That's right.
Yeah. So and
you
that's
learn that real fast in coaching. Yeah. I don't need to hear the rest of it.
That's what you want to listen to. You don't want to. I really don't want people to sing my praises. You're doing a great job, man. Even though we've lost.
Yeah, but where's the but coming?
We've lost 18 games, but and I'm like, crap.
Here we go.
There it is. And that's just part of it. And I love every second of it. Yeah. I do. And I encourage all that to say, I encourage those guys to have that same mentality. And I'm not saying in any way that you or I are perfect, because I'm far from it.
Oh, no.
But
hell no.
You know what I'm saying?
The furthest thing from perfect.
And I'm not saying that parents raise them. I'm not going there. I'm really not. What I'm saying is, take it personally that these people are paying you. Take it personally that you're getting your school paid for. There's a lot of people that are $100,000 in debt because and you were blessed with athletic ability, God-given athletic ability,
and hard work ethic. I mean, you don't get to this point if you don't have great hard work ethic.
Exactly. Now show it.
Yeah.
Show what you've worked for since you were 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. Not only for your hopes to play after this. I guarantee you, almost 95% of these guys want to play in the NFL. Sure. Play for that. Play for what's on the front of your jersey. Don't play just to play. Don't play to. I mean, obviously, I want you to have fun while you're doing it. And all that stuff, but. Play for something more is my thing. Play for something that's more than yourself. Play for something that's more than just this year. Because what you're doing not only is you're performing for this year, but you're also setting an example and you're setting a standard for guys that come after you. You use the 91 team as an example. I wouldn't even thought of at that point. Sure. Yeah. So I didn't get to watch those guys play, but from what it sounds like is those guys were guys that played from something that was a lot more than themselves. Did they have a successful season? No, but this team that we have this year has so much talent and so much potential. And that's the sucky part of losing all of these games. Yes. And it's not because they're not using their abilities, but it's because they're not giving you 100%. At least it doesn't seem like it. And that's again, we go back to Brennan Presley and Ollie Gordon. I appreciate the heck out of those two guys because I have not thought
Rashad Owens.
Yes. And granted, I mean, he just hasn't been a big
Josh
part.
Ford. I mean, all those guys are great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jake Schultz.
That's why I love those guys. I love those guys, and I'm never going to say, I may be a little critical, but I'm never going to go off the rails like I am on an Alan Bowman or guys like that I just don't feel like I'm getting 100% from you.
Yeah.
And right. That's where my issue lies.
Yeah. Hey, let's get into Arizona State. We're going to go on here for about 10 more minutes. We've had a lot to say on homecoming day. Homecoming's kind of a day to reflect. Homecoming's kind of a day that's all about OSU, right? Because you have all these memories of all the past years, and this year, to be honest with you, there hasn't been a whole lot to analyze anyways, but I'm just going to tell you, this is a very winnable game. I will be disappointed if Oklahoma State does not win this game. Yes, Cam Scatteraboo is very good. Yes, Sam Levitt is really good now. They did go and lose to Cincinnati, and it's because they didn't have Sam Levitt. I mean, this guy is a big-time difference maker. Arizona State did not finish the season last year with a starting quarterback. That basically be the equivalent of Oklahoma State putting Ollie Gordon at Wildcat for the remainder of the year. That's pretty much what Arizona State had to do to finish last year. So this guy's a trigger guy.
Yep.
As good as Cam Scatterbo is, we saw at Cincinnati when they didn't have Sam Levitt, they could not go on the road and win. So this is a guy that can make plays with his feet. He's the second leading rusher for Arizona State. This is a guy that can definitely throw the ball. So the first thing, Cam Scatterbo is their best player. The first thing Oklahoma State has to do, though, they have to figure out how to stop Sam Levitt. They have not been able to figure out how to stop this kind of quarterback all year. Yeah,
they haven't. And I think that the weather is going to play to a little bit of Oklahoma State's advantage. Because if you're obviously familiar with any kind of Arizona weather, Arizona period, they don't get rain. It's not 60 degrees there ever. I was there in January and it was 78. It's never cold there. It's never rainy. They don't have to deal with these, this kind of atmosphere. They don't have to deal with these kind of, weather roadblocks, if you will. If you come to Oklahoma State, you come to Oklahoma, you deal with this stuff all the time.
Practice, yeah.
Yeah. So use that to your advantage. Make this team one-dimensional. Make this team. I would say that to win this game, you're going to have to force Arizona State to throw the football. And if you force them to throw the football, I think that they're going to struggle a little bit just because of the atmosphere and the weather.
Receivers are good, but they're not like NFL cal. I mean, Jordan Tyson's a good player.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know what I'm saying, though. Like, you can this is a winnable game because of the environment, because of the weather and things like that. And I think even without those things being a factor, if Oklahoma State plays their brand of football, just if they play against Arizona State like they played against BYU, they win this game.
It's not defensively.
Well, you know what I mean. Offensively,
yeah.
I think they can at least score points.
If Oklahoma State can get the lead and then kind of force Arizona State to feel like they're always in catch-up mode,
but you have to get the lead,
making them feel like they're having to throw a little bit more than they want to. I think that would be a big deal too.
Yeah, but again, you have to get the lead.
Yeah. When's the last time Oklahoma State's done that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did they get the lead against Baylor, maybe? I'm not sure they did they?
I'm not sure. Maybe they went up like 3-0. It
wasn't a substantial lead where I remember like we could front run. Let's put it to you that way.
I
can't remember the last time that we just got out and went out and came out and played great the first quarter and a half, had a 17-point lead and felt like we could front run and play that Anaconda Snake game like they played last year. I don't remember the last time that's happened.
Let me tell you what I would do if I was the head coach of this group. I would go set the tone early if I can. I would take the ball. I would take the ball. When you win the toss,
run a trick play or two. Yeah.
I want the football. I want to set a tone and hopefully get this defense to be like, golly, we really have to step up because the offense is performing. Yeah. Finally, I take the football and I'm aggressive from snap one to the very end. Show a bunch of blitz packages, rally to the football, play a physical brand, play Oklahoma State football. Don't play this this soft brand of football. You do that, you have a chance to win.
I would agree. I just think part of what Mike Gundy's formula has been, especially last year, was go get a lead and then just squeeze the game down. I think that protects your defense. Obviously, the biggest key to the game, can we fit gaps properly, and will this team tackle and swarm to the football? I think that is the number one thing as we enter homecoming. It's one thing to go on the road at 2:30 in Baylor. It's a TV game that probably half the Oklahoma State fans turned off. It was a terrible football game. So you can kind of, whatever, as many people as that pissed off against, as many Oklahoma State people as that performance pissed off last week. It was on the road. It was, you do that same thing again at homecoming, right? You show up today and Cam Scattaboo breaks 7 tackles, and the homecoming crowd sees defensive players not giving effort. It will be real bad, real bad, real early.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. We had a question that's what's the over/under of Oklahoma State making a bowl game this year? It's not great, I can tell you that, because they're not projected to win this game. I don't believe. I guarantee they're not going to be projected to beat Colorado. They may have a chance to beat TCU. That puts you at 5 wins.
But when do we ever win at TCU?
Never. I don't know, but I know it's not great. I want to be
around 10 to 20% at this point. When we won 3 games, we got to win 3 more games. So Arizona State, TCU, Texas Tech, Colorado. You got to win 3 out of 4 of those games, and half of them are at home.
Yeah.
So you got to sneak a road. You got to win both your home games against Arizona State and Texas Tech. Then you got to win one of the 2 against TCU. I would say that the big time odds are against that. I would give that a 10. Let's go 25% on that. I mean, Oklahoma State is capable of winning today. They're capable of going on the road and beating TCU. They're capable of beating Texas Tech 2 weeks from now. I'm not sure that they have the athletic ability to beat Colorado on the road. I just think Colorado is going to score 500 points. That would be very difficult for us to keep up just from a scoring perspective. So I think to do it, you're going to need to win the next 3 games. And boy, what percentage would you give Oklahoma State of winning 3 games in a row?
Not good.
And one of them being on the road at a place you never play good, even with good teams.
I want to be optimistic, but I'm also going to be realistic, because I don't feel like it's
25% or less.
I don't feel like it's fair to the fans or anybody that comes across this for us not to be realistic. I would be shocked if they made a bowl game this year. I don't see them beating Colorado. I'm going to be honest with you. I think they're going to have a hard time beating Texas Tech. Texas Tech has played pretty decent football this year.
Just keeping up score-wise.
TCU is a dumpster fire, but right now so are we. So that's a complete toss-up. If we don't tackle today, there's a 0% chance that we win this game if we don't tackle, because Scattaboo is going to run for 795 yards and have 18 touchdowns. Yes. He's going to go.
And they will never do anything other than give him the ball.
Yeah, and I don't blame them. What changes next year for us? What changes next year for us to be relevant? Does the season set us back for another year or 2 until we are at the top? I
don't think it sets us back. I don't think this 1 year in today's day and age really has a whole lot to do with the next. I think we saw that right here. Last year had nothing to do with success for this year, right? I mean, I think you see a lot of teams coming out of nowhere, transfer portal, and I'll tell you another thing, Chase, the difference in quarterback play. I mean, what you're seeing is when teams get good quarterback play, they win. Mm-hmm. Teams that don't get good quarterback play lose. Yeah. So, I mean, Oklahoma State could turn this thing around in an instant next year if Garrett Rangel or Zane Flores becomes that dual threat guy like Rocco Becht at Iowa State, or like Avery Johnson at Kansas State, or like Jake Retzloff. BYU is the perfect case scenario. They won 5 games last year, okay? And they lost their last 6. Mm-hmm. And I promise you, BYU fans were like, oh, my God, we need to fire our coaches. Matter of fact, I've talked to all the people at BYU. That was a big vibe there. And they turned it around like that. You know why? Because Jake Retzloff has turned into one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So like Scott Tyner said, it's not as bad as it seems. If Garrett Rangel or Zane Flores goes out and plays great next year, you go out and get – a couple handfuls of really impactful transfer portal guys. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma State's fine. Plus, this conference, nobody else is going to be great next year. Maybe Kansas State will be good, but I just don't see anybody else out there that could be so good that Oklahoma State couldn't overtake. No,
I agree. In terms of changes, I think for next year for us to be good and relevant, obviously you have to have good quarterback play, which I think you're going to get that. And any of the 3 guys, I think Rangel he proved himself at BYU that he can. He's a decent
good,
quarterback.
Man, I'm telling you.
I'm excited. I've heard nothing but good things about Flores.
Yeah.
Seeing Malalaki, I think that's how you say his name.
Malalaki, yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun name to say.
Say that 5 times in a row.
Yeah, to see Smith's highlights in high school, granted, I know it's high school, but he seems like he's pretty good. Any of those 3 guys, I think, would be a step up from what we have this year. Mm-hmm. So I think you have to have that. I think you have to have a change at offensive coordinator. I think you have to have a change in defensive coordinator. Those are my opinions. I could be completely wrong. Am I going to be shocked if both of them, if not at least one of them comes back? No, I'm not going to be shocked at all.
I wouldn't be shocked if both of them came back.
Am I going to be disappointed? 100,000%.
You got to keep in mind they were both coordinators on a team that made the Big 12 championship game last year.
They were, but you just can't ignore what's happened this year, and you can't ignore the product.
Mike Gundy can.
You can't ignore what Casey Dunn has done for several years, which is just throw out major stinkers. You can't.
The offense has progressively gotten worse.
I don't know if it's going to get any better with this scheme. I really, you have to have a fresh start, in my opinion.
I think the argument you would make is, hey, let's get a dual threat guy. You saw it at BYU with Casey Dunn calling plays. With a dual threat guy, you saw it with Spencer Sanders at times. You were inches away with that type of quarterback from making the college football playoff. So the argument you would make to keep Casey Dunn is, hey, we didn't have a quarterback that could make plays. No offensive coordinator could succeed in a system that you don't have a quarterback that can make plays and you can't run the ball, right? Yeah. So what the hell is an offensive coordinator supposed to do? So I think you could make that argument along the side with, let's get a dual threat guy out there that when the play breaks down, they can go make something happen, and let's see what Casey Dunn can do with that. I think that would be the argument there.
Yeah, I mean, again, you've seen it so bad for so many years, and the bad scheme and the bad product that's been out there. I don't think that you can bring him back confidently. I don't think that you can do that. And you're definitely not going to have support from your fans if you bring him back, in my opinion, of that decision.
Until you win.
Yeah, well.
You go 3 or 4, 5-0, the hell, fans don't care.
Yeah, but at the same time, you go back and it's just like, you as a good coach and as a good coordinator, you have to be able to make adjustments. You have to, right. And there's been 0 adjustments made. There's been no adjustments actually, because you don't have a mobile quarterback this year. You didn't have a mobile quarterback last year. Figure out a way to make him effective.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
In my opinion, he's a liability. I know that sounds bad. Sure. But at the same time,
hey, like Mike Gundy says, you're entitled to your opinion. I mean,
yeah,
and you have your set of facts to back up what you're saying. So,
you have to make adjustments. I'm not going to have 6 guys on our staff that throw 95 miles an hour every year. Right. I'm going to have to make adjustments to figure out how to make.
The Dodgers would always strike out or hit home runs or walk. They were the 3-2 outcome team, and they'd always get their ass beat in the playoffs. Yep. So you know what they did this year? They went out and got Tommy Edman. Yep. They went out and they got 2 or 3 guys that actually put the ball in play. Yep. And if you notice what they did in the playoffs, they struck out about 10 times less than the New York Yankees did. They struck out less than every team they played. So, yes, they kept hitting the home runs, but they did it without striking out, and lo and behold, they win the championship. So the Dodgers made the adjustments. That's kind of what you're talking about.
Good coaches. Good coaches make good adjustments.
Right.
Put that on a T-shirt. But good coaches make good adjustments. Yes, again, Alan Bowman is not good. He's not what they've had in the past. Make an adjustment to figure out how to make him effective. Not like, oh gosh, you know what I'm saying?
He hasn't been good in this scheme this year, that's for sure.
He hasn't. And this guy said, I'm glad my generation of football isn't known for being soft.
Wet blanket's awesome.
Yeah, it's I like that guy. I hope you tune in. He's tuned in almost every time that I've been on here, which obviously we appreciate that. But again, you have to make good adjustments. It's the same thing with the defense. When you lose two of your best players, not only on your team but in the country, make adjustments in scheme to figure out how to make other guys effective.
They continue to play man. They continue to play 40-man, 30-man principles in a 40-man front.
And right there sits my argument to fire both coordinators. They don't make good adjustments. They don't.
Nardo did last year. I mean, he was a second half genius last year.
But put last year to sleep. Last year, nothing matters now. I mean, nothing from last year matters.
So after one bad year, you're going to take a young guy who lost his 2 top playmakers, at times his 3 top playmakers, and you're going to fire him because of one bad year, even though the year before he showed a lot of promise. That's kind of what I'm saying. That's the argument. I think Nardo's a different deal, man.
I don't know. I would.
The problem is it's getting worse. The problem he has is getting worse and not better. And now you're having effort issues, and the optics of it are terrible. But yes. I do think Brian Nardo is I think you could easily make the case to bring him back.
But why? I just don't think that this is the level for him to be at right now.
Right.
A top 25.
Did you think that last year?
I truly. You want my honest, true opinion? I still don't think that this is the level for him. Even last year. Last year the defense was better. They weren't great. They weren't.
They adapted to the games and they started squeezing the games down as the games went on.
They were manageable is what they were last year. This year they're not
somewhat
manageable.
Yeah.
And yes, you did lose your two of your playmakers, but at the same time, two guys out of 11 cannot dictate and cannot. I'm just going to say they can't dictate an entire season for you. You can't have 2 key guys on either side of the ball that you end up losing, and then things blow off the hinges. You can't have that. You have to make adjustments. I
don't think he's going to replace both. It's too much change. Are you following what I'm saying? I mean, that's just such a house clean. That's just such a reset. I understand that what you're saying next year is the perfect time for reset. But for a guy in Mike Gundy's situation to where we want results now, it's just such a large reset. And so having said that, I think you might get one coordinator. I don't think you're going to get both. I could be wrong. So if there is one coordinator gone, I think the one that Oklahoma State fans will be the most pissed about that's not gone will be Casey Dunn.
Casey Dunn has had too many years here of inconsistency and bad football for him to come back. It's not just this year. It's going all the way back even to 2021 where we were inches away. The offense has continually gotten worse over the years. Yes, and I'm voicing my concern with the defense is it's gotten worse this year. It hasn't gotten any better. It has not. So what makes you think with guys that are going to leave? Health. Not only that, but guys that are going to enter the transfer portal, guys that are out of eligibility, you lose those guys and you're having to come back with new guys. What makes you think that they're going to get better? I don't think they're going to get better. I don't. What makes you think they're going to get better with any other coordinator that Oklahoma State could get? You're going to get a Derek Mason type guy. What makes you think in year one? I mean, Jim Knowles was horrible in year one. He was. Derek Mason was horrible at Oklahoma State. Okay. So why would there's no past history of going and getting a new defensive coordinator that suggests that next year is going to be anything but horrible for whoever you're going to go get. Yeah, but here my thing, Jim Knowles got better. He got better. No, he didn't his first year. I thought he got better from his first year to the second. He did. That's what I'm saying. For about a year and a half, it was bad. Yeah, but you saw improvement. Right. That's why, like Nardo, this is his second year. Just like when Jim Knowles was in this part of his career, he started getting a lot better. Yes. That's the problem with Brian Nardo. We were all going to live with him if he started getting better towards the end of this season. We all went, okay, well, they're starting to learn the scheme. Well, they've lost, but that's been his problem is that it's not getting better, it's getting worse. That's where even guys like me has started to go, I don't know about this. That's my argument. That's what I'm saying is that you would, and I know he has odds stacked against him with losing those two guys, but like I said, you can't let two guys dictate what continues to go on. You can't be the worst defense in college football, which is what we are. No, you have to get better. You have to get better. Right. And there has been, it's actually been the complete opposite. He's gotten worse. So that's my argument to get rid of him. And then to get rid of Casey Dunn is, again, you have had 5 years of inconsistent.
I can't argue with you that. I can make an argument football against Nardo. I cannot make an argument for whatever you say with Casey Dunn. I don't
he calls just enough good games to keep his job every single year.
I would reverse that and say he has just enough talent to where there's 3 or 4 good games a year.
I feel like he called a good game against BYU.
He did.
And I'm not. I feel about Casey Dunn how I feel about Alan Bowman. I can't stand either one of them.
Yeah, right.
So and that's hard for me to say.
You're waiting to trounce on the bad performances.
Yes, but it's hard. It's hard for me to sit here and say, Casey Dunn did call a good game against BYU. He did, but he has called 6 other just horrendous games this year. You
were a pitcher, Chase. You've taken your A game out there at times and go, "Oh, this is going to be a good night," right? And it was. Well, I mean, all pitchers are talented enough to where, hey, I'm landing the slider. I have a feel for the changeup. I'm dotting the fastball where I want it. Every pitcher is going to have a successful game on your A game night, right? It's the pitchers that can go out and go, oh, my God, I can't feel my changeup. My slider's not landing. My fastball, I'm throwing it for a strike, but I have no command over it inside the strike zone. On those nights, can that pitcher still get you through 5 innings and put your team in position to win a game? That's my problem with Casey Dunn. When he goes out and the A-game plan, everything's working, the defense isn't adjusting, and everything that they plan throughout the week is hitting, he's fine. Yeah. But it's whenever you go out there and you go, okay, well, this isn't hitting, that's not hitting, this isn't hitting. I have my C-game stuff today. I put a C-game game plan together. I need to figure out something different for these next 3 quarters or 2.5 quarters. That's where he fails. Right. In that adjustment period to get through 5 innings to give his team a chance to win even when he doesn't have his A-game stuff.
Right. And I feel like you're using pitching as an example. I felt like I was a pretty good pitcher, but there were a lot of days that I went out that I did not have my best stuff. I didn't have my slide. My slider was my best pitch. I didn't always have my wipeout slider.
Sure.
I had to figure out a way to figure out how to keep guys off balance with a fastball changeup.
That's where Casey Dunn fails, in my opinion. That right there.
If you want to put it in these terms, if he doesn't have his fastball, slider, curveball, and changeup, he sucks. He sucks. He's not,
and that's only going to happen 3 or 4 times a year.
Exactly.
2 or 3 times a year, yes.
Exactly. You have to find a way to be manageable and give your team a chance to win, even when you're not 100%. And Casey Dunn is, like you said, in my opinion, he's 100% for about 2 to 3 games per season. The rest of the year sucks.
His C game efforts turn into Fs.
Yes.
You need to turn your C's into B's, right?
Yes. And yes, you have talent, but you don't have enough talent to suck. You really don't.
Yeah. I just don't think his in-game coaching is very good.
I don't even know if it exists.
Yeah.
I don't know if his in-game coaching exists. And again, he's in the press box. I understand you get a better view and all that crap from up there.
Mm-hmm.
Change something. Even if it's him going down to the field and maybe ripping into the offense every once in a while.
What most Oklahoma State fans would say, change the quarterback.
Well, we tried that.
We did that at BYU and it worked. That's all I'll say to that.
Right, we had.
So that's your defense for Casey Dunn. We saw what the offense looked like with Garrett Rangel. That would be your defense for him.
Yes, but I'm done defending. He can kick rocks. I mean, he really can. Him and his $1 million can go somewhere else.
We got about 10 more minutes. Let's get into some more Arizona State stuff. How's that sound?
Yeah, no, that's good.
So Arizona State's defense, one of the things that sticks out about me is 3 out of their top 4 tacklers are all safeties. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a defense that, I mean, hell, they had to barely beat a bad Texas State team on the road. They had to score late to do it. This is not a juggernaut. I mean, I know their record looks good.
Right.
But look at the records of the teams they beat. The records of the teams they beat. They have beaten bad teams.
Yep.
So this is by far not a juggernaut. I don't know. Maybe this is my orange-colored glasses, but I think Oklahoma State's a 3 to 6 point favorite in this game. That's That's just how I feel about this. I just think Oklahoma State has as good of players. I think Arizona State has been fortunate with their schedule. And again, this is a defense that I think Oklahoma State, they can totally have success against. I mean, I don't see any issue with that whatsoever. So, I mean, I think Oklahoma State's offense, if it's coordinated properly, if it's quarterbacked properly, if it's blocked up properly, this is a day where they could have success.
If they play Oklahoma State football.
Yes, right.
If they don't play Oklahoma State football, which I don't, in my opinion, they played Oklahoma State football twice this season, once against Arkansas and once against BYU.
At times against Arkansas.
Yes.
I think that South Dakota State was a pretty good game.
I don't want to use
them as a
good
team. I agree with you, but
I don't want to use it as an example because they're a good team in NC, they're a good team for FCS is what they are. If they come to the FBS, if they come to the Big 12, they're right down there with Oklahoma State. Where we're at right now. So that being said, I don't think
that hurt, Chase.
I'm sorry. Again, we're being 100% real here, we're being 100% real. And, I think that's why you like having me on here is I don't really beat around the bush, but,
I've been told I've never had my feelings hurt before because I don't have. You have to have feelings to begin with to get your feelings hurt.
I think I just achieved something new for you. Then I think I just hurt your feelings.
That's pretty much how I've lived my whole life. So
I don't count them because they would be a middle of the road team at best in the FBS. If they play Oklahoma State football, sure, they have a chance to win. But if they play Oklahoma State football, they've had a chance to win every game that they've lost this year.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I stand on that. Again, and I'm going to go back to what we've said before: is they've got nothing to lose. Show your entire playbook. Show every blitz package. Rally to the football. Sacrifice your body. Alan Bowman. If you see this and you throw off your back
foot,
play
forward. Yeah.
If you throw off your back foot, I am going to say mean things about you on this podcast after the show, after the game. But and I don't know if he quite frankly even cares.
I promise you he doesn't.
It doesn't seem okay. Here's one thing that we didn't bring up. If you watched his post-game interview after Baylor,
that ripped me different. Oh.
That
I don't even want to get into that.
That made me livid.
Blood boiling.
Yeah,
the participation trophy. Oh, it's just a game. Oh, there's bigger thing.
Kiss my butt. That's what I've got to say to that. If I would have heard if I was in Gundy, I don't know what he can do. I don't know about all the NIL rules. I'd have ripped every single
single Nothing said
penny.
Is necessarily wrong. Yes, life is bigger than sports and this and that, but this is. In this environment, you can't have that mentality. Winning has to be everything in this environment.
This is where we're at in college football. This is a profession right now. You are a professional athlete, in my opinion.
That being the case, don't take the $400,000.
You are getting.
Don't take the scholarship. If that's the mentality you want to have, that it's just football. That's fine. Then go play for an Ivy League school and get an education and don't get paid. But if you're going to accept money from Oklahoma State NIL fans and accept money from people who make a quarter of what you do or less to fund this program, then damn it, it's about winning games, not about life. Not about it's just a game. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, you're right. It's a game for high school kids. It is a game for middle school element. It's a game. It's just a game for those guys. I want them to go out and have a good time. If you are making more money than I am to go out and do something, that is your job. That is your profession.
100%.
Don't give me this bull crap. Well, it's just a game and I just want to have fun doing it. Dude, kick rocks and go back to high school.
Oh, it's adversity. No, this isn't adversity. You're putting money in the bank, dude.
I don't know if he would start from
adversity is not being able to pay the bills, man.
Yeah, he can kick rocks, and I hope he trips while he's kicking
kick
one.
Rocks, definitely. That struck me wrong. Well, we could be out of line here. That's fine. But
I'm not out of line.
I'm glad you said that because that really. Matter of fact, if you go to his Instagram, I commented on it.
It's disgusting. It's really what it is. It is an embarrassment, not only to the program, but he's pretty much spitting in every person's face, in my opinion. He's spitting in my face. He's spitting in your face because he's making more money than both of us combined, sucking. And he's like, oh, it's just a game, man. I'm just trying to have a good time. I if I had that mentality, I would suck at everything that I do.
Yeah. So here was his, just say what you can. I'm grateful for what I have. And really, at the end of the day, it's just a game that we all die for, but it's just a game. You get a lot of hate from guys around social media, things like that. But at the end of the day, I get to look back. I have a beautiful fiance. I've got a home. I have a beautiful family. And football isn't everything in life. Okay? None of that's not true. But again, in this element, you have a lot of people that have invested in you. There's a lot to winning. So I went, just for transparency, I posted this on Alan Bowman's Instagram page to be transparent so he could see whenever I say this on my podcast, I'm not talking behind his back. I did it so hopefully he would read it. This is what I said. I'm in your corner, which, Chase, am I not in Alan Bowman's corner?
A lot more than I am, yes.
And I always have been. That's a correct statement. I've always been in Alan Bowman's corner. You will
100%.
You will testify to that, okay? But please understand that you were making 4 to 5 times more to play for OSU as a college student than almost every fan who pays to support the program does as an adult. So in terms of quote-unquote real life, you are in a position of privilege, not one of adversity. That, in my opinion, is how it's going to be viewed by those who have to find ways to pay the bills and still be able to afford OSU football. So while the social media stuff can get outrageous, I understand their point of wanting a certain quality of return on their investment. Just so you'll know, for transparency, I posted that on Alan Bowman's Instagram post about the life is bigger than all this, just so all the players and he could see it in case they wanted to. Not that they care, but just for transparency, so I don't feel like I'm talking behind their back.
If he comes across it and he feels like I'm talking behind his back, I don't care. Shoot me a DM and we'll talk about it. I'll give you my phone number and we can have a full-blown conversation.
Yeah.
He's not going to do that, but that the offer stands. Again, you're making a lot more money than me to do a sucky job. So, that being said, if you want to talk about real life, you want the
400,000, but you don't want the spotlight and the criticism when things don't go right.
Here's
how
my
spoiled
thing.
Is that?
Here's my thing. If you want to talk about real life, if you're making a lot of money and you suck at your job, you're probably going to get fired.
Well, of course. If you're making a lot of money, you're going to get a lot of criticism when you don't do your job.
Yeah, 100%.
Again, if this is Kenny Ford in 1991, I love the guy. I have nothing negative to say against him, right? He's just coming to Oklahoma State because he loves OSU and he wants to help the university. Mm-hmm. You go out there and you sign however big the NIL contract is. If you don't want the criticism that comes with it, then don't sign the damn contract and take the money. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Because if you sign up and make a lot of money, and then you're gonna play the woe is me whenever you get criticism because things aren't going your way, that is the most entitled, spoiled position I can possibly think of. And it's so far from my mentality as a blue-collar Oklahoma person, I can't even think straight.
Yep.
Am I off the rails here?
No, you're not. And here's the thing, and you know how I felt about him for 2 years now. Any inkling or any ounce of respect that I had left for him and maybe even what he did last year is completely gone after those comments.
This one hurt it for me. I told you last week I could separate the two. This one hurt it for me because I just saw entitlement. Yeah. I saw spoiled bratness out of this comment.
His true colors are starting to show.
That's how it hit me.
Now you wonder why, now I know why you left Texas Tech. Now I know why
That's exactly how it hit me.
Yeah, now I know why you left Michigan.
So I'm going to employ you as an employee. I'm going to give you $500,000 or whatever it is, okay? And then you're just going to feel like you can do whatever job you want without criticism?
Yeah.
And the second I give you criticism, you're going to run off and throw a little temper tantrum about how people, they don't like me.
No, we don't like you, to answer your question.
Okay,
no.
Too bad. What we don't like is the fact that we gave you all of this money and this opportunity, and we're not getting the return on our investment that we want. That's what we don't like.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Whenever you took the money, you made it a transaction.
Yep.
Okay. And so at this point, I want a return.
Yep.
And if I don't get that return, I'm pissed and I'm going to criticize you. That's how this whole entire world, that's how I was grown up. By God, I'm investing this in you. And if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're going to get told about it, right? I mean,
it is, again, we're in a position with college athletics now to where if you're getting paid, I don't care if it's $200. I don't care if it's $200,000. You are a professional ball player at this point, whether you like it or
you're
not.
A transaction.
Because you are playing, you are getting paid to play. If you are getting paid to play, again, I don't care how much it is. If you're getting paid to play, then you better freaking play good. And if you don't play good, you're going to hear about it. And if you don't like to hear about it,
deservedly
why don't you give your money back and go do whatever else you want to do? Because this place here is not the place to do that. If you want to have that mentality, go to a Division II, don't make any money, and then you could say it's just a game.
That's my
If you want to play at this level, if you want to play at a
which
program,
is what they all did in the early 90s.
Yeah, if
they
you
didn't
want to
have
play
the training tables, they didn't have the indoor facilities, they didn't have jack squat.
If you
they
want
had
to play
each other, they had Oklahoma State. That's what they had.
If you want to play at a school that has, it should be a top 25 program year in and year out. It's not just a game. You are to win football games because we are paying you a substantial amount of money to go and help us win football games.
Yes.
If you don't help us win football games and
like
then come
it's
back,
a transaction.
Yes, and you come back and say no, it's just a game. Then go to Southern Nazarene. Go, and I'm just using them as an example. I'm not throwing shade at anybody. Go to an Emporia State. Go somewhere where you're not making any money. You're not making anything. You're just going to play. That's where you can go and say it's just a game. Don't say it's just a game when you're at a program that should be a top 25 contender in Division I football and you're making a whole bunch of money. Don't say that.
Again, nobody here is saying what he said is incorrect. What we're saying is it's incorrect in the context of which he's saying it as it applies to Oklahoma State. Would that be a correct statement?
No, 100%. You like I said, you cannot say that.
I went a little further than I had planned on going with that, but that really did piss me off. My blue collar roots, Chase. I just can't take that. I
didn't want to bring that up because I
wish you had that.
That made me that just made me feel some type of way when I saw that and I heard it and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like this is the leader of our football team. This is the leader of our football program. And you come back and say it's just a game.
If I'm the left guard that's making $20 to play for OSU and I've gone through 3 surgeries and I'm still busting my ass just to get 6 plays a game of playing time, I'm really, really not impressed with that comment.
If you hadn't lost the locker room prior to those comments, then you lost it after. That's my opinion. I'm not going to get behind a guy that says something like that when he's making a whole bunch more money than I am. And I'm just
when does football stop being important to you? The second quarter?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's
14-0. So all of a sudden, instead of you're looking at the iPad, but you're thinking, "Oh man, I can't wait to go home because my life is better at home than it is here."
Then stay at home.
Stay home. Yeah. Then go to your better part of your life and give the money back.
And I know we're not going to see him today, but after those comments would have been the second that I would have called Malalaki, whatever his name is, Smith.
And the problem with that is I don't think Malalaki is going to be the starter next year. I think if it was Garrett Rangel or Zane Flores, one of those two is going to be the starter next year most likely. I think it would be a pretty easy choice. And then also being homecoming, Mike Gunny doesn't want to lose that game. He still wants to give his team the best chance. And I would still say that Alan Bowman does give this team the best chance to win the day today over Malalaki just because of the unpredictability. You don't want to go out there and just have the guy throw 8 interceptions and just look like crap. I mean, I understand the decision to play Alan Bowman today. I really do.
I kind of do, but I truly think that it can't get any worse. I don't.
It can.
I don't know. The Smith kid can at least threaten you with his legs a little bit.
I'm going to pull my experience card on you there. It can get worse.
For me, it can't. For me, it can't. And for the younger generation of fans and anybody that's sitting in the student section today, it can't get any freaking worse than what I've seen this year.
I love
My
it, Chase.
goodness.
Hey, I gotta get going. I gotta get up to Stillwater. And we were there last night, came back home. I did not go to the parade today. I usually do. I did not today. anyways, got to get all that process going. This has been a hell of a show. It's been a lot of fun for me. I don't know if it's been any fun to watch, but it's been fun for me to actually do because it's like therapy for me.
Yeah. Again, I mean, and I hope that if people come across this and people watch it, they know that we're just being 100% real.
Absolutely.
I love
because
Oklahoma
we love
State.
OSU.
I love Oklahoma State. I love the football program, and I hate the product that they're putting out. I'm not going to sit here and be I'm not going to be their cheerleader every time that we step on here and be like, oh man, things are all right. Things are going to get better. Freaking no. Things have to get better, and not everything is all right now. Where we're sitting at 0-5 in Big 12 play. When this is a conference at the beginning of the season that everybody and their mom thought we should run.
It's a conference of equals.
Yes.
There's nobody in this conference that Oklahoma State should not be an equal to. There is no excuse to lose 5 games in a row to a conference of equals.
I would just like if we were to go back and talk to everybody after Oklahoma and Texas left this conference last year, how many people and fans would say we don't have a chance to run this conference? This is our conference now. Yeah. And boy, did that blow up in our face.
Yeah. I wasn't one of them just because I know how Gundy operates. He kind of plays down to the competition. I mean, like he can beat the really good teams. He can also lose to the bad teams. So, I mean, he was going to morph to what the competition was. That's what he always was going to do. At this point, he's actually below it, but I think some injuries have. But yeah, that's a different conversation for a different day. But hey, this has been a lot of fun, Chase. What are you looking forward to today?
I hope we see Oklahoma State football. I hope we see guys rally to the football.
We're gonna win
and hit people. If we play Oklahoma State football, yes. If we play like we have been the past 6 games, no. And that's my honest truth. If we play like how we've played a majority of this season, no, we don't win today. If we play the brand of football that we are used to and that we should be playing, then yes, we will win. That's my honest opinion. So it's
awesome job today, Chase.
I appreciate it.
Awesome job today, man. Appreciate you. Hey, we're going to go on post game. I don't know if you're available or not. I'll shoot you a text. We'll see.
Sounds
and I
good.
might be so mad we might not do it anyways.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Again, it's a 50-50 chance. You could end up super happy
shot.
Or you could be really pissed.
We might get a post game, another podcast, and a highlight video. We might get none of that. It all depends on my OSU fandom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, man. See ya.
All right. See you later.